saw that Gaijin was planning to add this to War Thunder, I was like, oh okay, it's another derp cannon that you can mess around with. And then I saw that they are planning to put this thing at battle rating 2.7, to which I say, why? This tank is essentially the Churchill Mark III, but instead of battle rating 4.0, they put this thing at battle rating 2.7. And not just a Churchill Mark III armor, this is a Churchill Mark III armor that has been up-armored in the right places. So for example, this is the Churchill Mark III. You have the upper front plate of 90mm that at battle rating 4.0 can easily penetrate right through, and not to mention if you can't really penetrate this or you have no confidence whatsoever, you can always shoot this 38mm right here and a 3-inch plate right here that is very glaring. But the thing is, when you're playing Churchill of any kind, Churchill Mark 1, Churchill Mark 3, Churchill Mark 7, very often you will be doing this, angling your tank, and yeah, there's no way the enemy can actually penetrate your upper front plate in any way. However, the bigger problem with the Churchill Mark III is the turret armor. 89mm right here, that doesn't have any slope whatsoever, as well as the size, only 89mm right here. So if you're wondering, not a big deal, I can just angle, right? Well, firstly, there's this spot right here. Secondly, a lot of players in the know will simply just wait for you to point the gun at them and then just shoot your turret cheeks. Like, even the Sherman Short 75mm can penetrate this. And that's when the Churchill AVRE comes in. As you can see, they pretty much have additional armor everywhere in the right spots. The same 89mm plate right here that isn't angled or up-armored, but then again, who plays a Churchill like this? And of course, the turret armor, the same 89mm plate right here that has no slope whatsoever. But here's the best part. Not only is this thing now at 2.7 battle rating, as I mentioned, it has additional armor in the right places. 89mm right here sitting underneath another 31mm plate right here, making it 120mm of armor, and as you can see, there's also additional trike armor, giving it another 30mm. That's right, from the very front, this is a 150mm plate right here. As far as the size has been up armored as well, like 89mm or 90mm right here, sitting underneath another 20mm, making it 110, and then there's also trike armor, making it 140. I mean, even the hull has additional armor in the right places. You see the Churchill Mark III has a very nice, flat, smooth, empty 63mm plate right here, as well as the hatch right here, that is only 3 inches thick. Enemy gets onto your sides, they shoot around here, and that's your ammunition. The Churchill AVRE, as you can see, not only do you have 20mm sitting on top of another 20mm sitting on top of the 63mm plate, you also have trike armor on top of those additional plates, like... Even the hatch has additional armor, like 3 inches plate, 20mm plate, and then there's a trike armor 30mm plate on top of it. Yeah, and remember, this thing is at battle rating 2.7. And of course, there's some areas that you need to be careful of when you're playing this thing. If you can down tier, up tier, or whatever, there's usually guns that can easily penetrate you. For example, your upper front plate right here, there's no angle whatsoever, so remember to angle your tank. Another spot is right here, but the reason why I'm not too concerned about this is because not a lot of players actually knew about this, and the players who do don't really like to take that risk because this can only be penetrated by a very high power, high caliber cannon. Anything else at battle rating 2.7 and below, forget about it. And of course, if you angle your turret, there's this little spot right here that some sharp eye players can actually see. And then as well as another weak spot that not a lot of players actually considered, if you have a really high power cannon or a APHE PC shell with that ridiculous angle of penetration, you can actually shoot this as well. On the best case scenario, they basically deal with this thing like how they deal with the Sturmtiger by knocking out your barrel. Like, the good news is that since this thing is actually a mortar, the gun barrel damage like orange, yellow, orange, red or whatever, it can still fire without any issues. It's only when it blacked out that's when it's a problem. You cannot fire and you cannot reload at the same time. And speaking of firing, of course, like the Sturmtiger, there's an ammo model in this thing. So it really doesn't take much for an enemy to pretty much ammo rack you just by shooting this thing. But the good news is that, unlike the Sturmtiger in the past, once you fire this round, you don't really have to worry about it being like still having the ammo model in and everything. And speaking about the firepower, yes, this is the 230mm Petard mortar. And yes, YouTube, it says Petard. It doesn't say the R word, okay? And yes, even though this is actually a very powerful cannon, I would say that this is actually the compromise when you're bringing armor from 4.0 to 2.7. And as the 230mm mortar cannon goes, This is the round that we'll be using, the number 1 demolition bomb, which is classed as a rocket, that pens up to 64mm of armor at any range, any angle. And of course, 230mm high explosive shell. Yes, you have 10.43 kilograms of explosive mass. But is it still really powerful? Of course. From the lightest of Stuarts to the Shermans and T-34s, and even KV-1s. However, in order for the number 1 demolition bomb to actually do damage, you have to shoot the tank directly. Now the things to take note of is, of course, this is classed as a little bit like a high explosive shell. Obstacles of any kind like fences, bushes, trees, or even track armor can sometimes eat the shells, so make sure you have a clear shot before firing. And the other things to take note of is your muzzle velocity is only 50 meters a second. That's right. If you shoot somebody at 100 meters away, which is considered to be point blank range for a tank, yeah, it's gonna take about 2 seconds to actually reach there, and that's more than enough for the enemy tank to just move out of the way. And speaking about shooting someone at 100 meters, the biggest issue with this thing is the range. Like, look at this range post. It doesn't say 100, 200, 300, and 400 meters. It says 10, 20, 30, 40 meters. So much so that you can't really range your gun any further than 158 meters. So yes, you have to go really close to your enemy in order to actually damage them with this thing. Now there are some players who try to do this thing like they did with the Sturmtiger, where at the very beginning of the match they zero the weapon to like 50 to 100 meters. You can technically do that. Just be careful of any targets that are sitting within 50 or 100 meters depending on what you're zeroing your gun at. Because due to the arc of this thing, if you zero your gun at like 100 meters and your target is at 50 meters, this will happen. And of course, other aspects of the gun, you can carry only up to 16 rounds of ammunition. I just say bring everything because not only is it not going to make any difference, as well as you are very likely going to fire only half of these rounds, and half of the rounds that you fired are very likely misses. The reload on this thing is actually not too bad, 22 seconds for something this massive. And if I'm not mistaken, Ace Crewman can actually reload this thing at 20 seconds. But at stock is around 26 seconds, which is still not too bad, but if you have crew points, just make use of them please. And then moving on, you have -3 degrees gun depression, which is unfortunately lacking, but then again, given the range on this thing, I don't think it really matters. And finally, no gun stabilizer, but that's not really an issue. So how on earth do you actually play this thing? Normally when it comes to heavy tanks, I would normally tell players to never play aggressively with them because you're just asking to get overwhelmed in this thing. The thing is, for the Churchill AVRE, I'm just going to make an exception. Play as aggressively as you can with this thing. But otherwise, this is actually a pretty fun vehicle to basically one-shot enemy tanks you look at, but at the same time a bit frustrating because of the lack of range. If they actually decided to buff this thing, I would say at least buff the maximum minimum range on this thing. Like maybe instead of 158, maybe the maximum range is 300 or so. But anyway, that's what I gotta say about the Churchill AVRE. Now let's take this thing on to battle and pray for me guys that I stop getting the stupid Flanders map for this thing. Yeah, how about no? He's not dead. Dude, come on. This is not a good place to hang out. Run them by me again. Yeah, this is why I want to put smoke to the left.
I am the Overman! Ah!
Knock it off. Bitch. Oh, shit on me nuts. I tried. Ah.
The enemy's getting closer to victory.
There's a stun pencil. God damn it. Get the shit out of here, buddy.
The enemy has most of the strategic zones.
Really, guys? Come on.
Artillery strike incoming.
You hit the fucking... You hit the fucking wall. Are you kidding me, game? Thank you. Hello. I got you, homie. Oh, please don't die. That is just mean. That is just disrespectful. Boom.
The enemy is controlling most of the zones.
You guys AFK or something?
Ah, this is bad!
And that's how it's done. Hi. From you often? Oh, come on! Let me have it!
Artillery strike in your sector!
Best timing for this game. Totally. Truly. Truly. The best timing for this. I had to do something disgusting. Resort to spawn camping. Fix the bayonets! I got you, homie.